I picked up this 1 terabyte AYN Loki Max handheld about 2 months ago, and I was really interested in the size and how it's much more pocketable than the Steam Deck, since you can't really stick a Steam Deck in your pocket.
So much better.
But after getting the AYN Loki all set up the way I like it, I just had this nagging feeling that I'm just not gonna like it, and I couldn't put my finger on why. Call it predetermination or fate or what have you. TLDW, I just didn't like it in the end. Now stay tuned to find out why. On paper, the specs seemed to be great, almost too good to be true. 8 core, 16 thread AMD Ryzen 7 6800U, 12 compute unit 680M graphics, 16 gigs of DDR5 6400 RAM, and it even has a 1 terabyte 2242 NVMe drive. Other nice features, it has a headphone jack and Thunderbolt 4 support on its single USB-C port, which is also located on the bottom with the SD card slot. It's about 602 grams and actually feels decent in the hands. The screen is a 6-inch 1080p IPS panel, and it looks pretty good. For a screen this size, you really don't need 1080p. Now shifting over to when it arrived, I quickly unboxed the unit, and it came with a case, which was kind of nice.
I'm pretty sure you're supposed to take this out.
The unboxing experience was very nice with this French door style unboxing experience with the cardboard.
Ooh.
It came with Windows 11 from the factory, but I took an image of that and immediately blew it away for a Bazzite install.
I mean, it works. Looks decent. Should I install something on it?
So to get in the BIOS, you hold these 2 buttons at the same time while powering it on. And I'm just gonna tweak some of the boot options here to put the SanDisk first, hooked up through my USB-C to Anchor dock. Yeah, we'll pick that first and then the NVMe second.
So apparently I flashed it wrong. When doing Bazzite, you need to use DD mode and not ISO mode. So they recommend this, but this causes it to fail, so switch to DD mode.
So it does run Linux, and you can do the install to hard drive option. Okay, let's pick English, use entire disk, because why not? And we're gonna erase it all. And we'll pick it back up when it's done. Success! Time for a reboot. The install went relatively smooth. Yes, we like to see. Nice. Let's see if this works. Oh, nice. Perfect. Let's get into the OS. Wi-Fi is Wi-Fiing. I thought that going this route would give me a mini Steam Deck, which was the goal in the first place anyway. Aha, success. There we go. Let's see if this comes up. I'd have to scale this down a little bit, but looks to be working. Sound works. I had to tweak some settings to get the RGB lights to stay off, since that just drains the battery anyway. It's kind of similar to the 3 dots / QAM button on the Steam Deck. If you just push, you get the regular quick access menu. But if you push and hold, you get the handheld Daemon. You push Y, you get a full view of everything. So if you right bumper, you can go to the RGB settings. And if you select off, it doesn't work how you think it would. I mean, it'll turn them off, but what'll happen is when you put the Loki to sleep and then wake it up again, the RGB will be on. So I set it to solid, and then I turned the brightness all the way down to 0. So that's 10, 20, 30, 80, 90, 100. It is relatively bright in the office here, and it is just glowing. It's got RGB, so you can go through all the different colors with it. But the handheld Daemon menu is kind of nice. You can set this to act like a Steam controller. You can set it to be an Xbox DualSense if you want to get motion controls working. If you're dual booting, you can set it to reboot into Windows. I've noticed that if you just click the power button to put it to sleep, the battery will just drain. And by the next day, you'll probably have 50% or less battery remaining if you charge it up the previous day. If you hibernate, it'll save that, but you might as well just do a regular shutdown because there's no real benefit to hibernating. Let's see, you can do an update in here. So you can set up some additional, that's left plus Y, B, A, and X to do some different things. Yeah, handheld Daemon's cool. And then of course, I set this to 720p, and then I scaled it to about halfway to make it look sort of normal, because by default it's super huge and then you can't really see anything. Yeah, I set maximum game res to 720p because the system doesn't seem to handle more than that. The controls are nice and the layout is exactly what I wanted. The buttons press smoothly, the thumbsticks have a lot of travel, almost too much travel. And the triggers are a Hall effect and have nice analog travel as well. There isn't a mouse or touchpad or mouse mode of any sort. The usual Steam Deck left button plus right stick combo works to move the mouse around. The LCD is bright enough for indoor use, but don't try using it outside. See Exhibit A right here. Outdoor is no good. Anyway, enough talking. Let's get into some game tests. I tested about 12 games, including emulation, and this is how it went. The stutters are just crazy, especially on low-end titles like Shredder's Revenge and Operation Galuga. There's just no reason it should have problems.
Time to throw a few rocks. What are we?
There are frequent game stutters that I can't pinpoint. I tried bringing up the TDP to compensate for any processing slowdowns, but all that does is max out the fan and drain the battery even faster. Yeah, definitely not 30 watts. Oh, I'll show you what it looks like at 30 watts though. We were pulling 63 from this battery, just torching it. But if we, let's see if we could bring this down to something reasonable. Let's go with 15 watts. So at 15 watts, it's coming down finally, 28 watts. That's still a lot for this game, but now look, the FPS has dropped down to 54. Kind of hard to see it, but it's just ridiculous.
Well, someone's overcompensating.
Teams, we've got Covenant squads digging in on the ridgeline. Target free, people!
TDP certainly isn't the issue, as you can crank it up and the games run the same, just like I show here in Ghost Recon Breakpoint. This game should easily break 60 FPS, especially with 80% res scale and on low settings, but no, 40 FPS is the average.
Alright, I'm moving.
The command room has a key. Marked it on the Slayer's map.
Serving up fresh hot death.
Since I really wanted this to be a mini Steam Deck, I also wanted to do some emulation on it. So let's check out how a few titles run.
What's the matter, little Spyro? You can't fly? Oh, that's right, you walk everywhere. That's too bad.
You're toast when I catch you.
Must be tough to lose all the time. Ah! All right, let me out of here, you overgrown fungus.
Now you've seen what it can do, let's really talk about why I don't like it. The fan is loud, I've tried everything I could do to adjust the fan curves and set the TDP as low as I can go, but it still just ramps that fan up to annoying levels. Another thing is the bottom USB-C port location. I like to prop up my handhelds with a kickstand, but this didn't come with one, so I added one aftermarket, and it seems to work okay. But it blocks that USB-C port and the headphone jack that's also located on the bottom. I prefer the Steam Deck layout where they're on top. No, that's not good. The last thing I wanted to mention was the battery life. It has a 46.2 watt-hour battery, and the Steam Deck LCD only has a 40 watt-hour, while the OLED has a 50 watt-hour. So it's right in the middle of those. So you think it would be pretty decent, but the battery just frequently ran out at just over an hour of gameplay. Maybe the battery is just starting to lose its capacity, but at full TDP, I could see it pulling over 65 watts in game scope. That just drains the battery super fast and also reduces and wears out its full capacity way faster than other handhelds. Which leads me to another problem. The replacement parts are scarce. Nobody but AYN supplies the battery, and the only way that you can get a replacement is to send it to China and then have them replace the battery and send the whole unit back. Some have reported failures trying to use third-party batteries, and that's just unacceptable from a repairability standpoint. That right there eliminates this from being a handheld you should consider in 2026, especially since AYN doesn't support these anymore. Production stopped abruptly in 2023, and they haven't made another x86 handheld since. So there you have it. The AYN Loki Max, or AYN Loki Max, is a great size handheld that just seems to be abandoned by its maker and suffers in the software and hardware in the long run. As far as price goes, I got it for less than $300, and for that price, I still have to say a refurb Steam Deck is the better option. So if you see these on eBay or whatever, used marketplace, just leave it be. The Steam Deck is still too big to bring everywhere, but the comfort of knowing Valve still has you covered if you break anything is all I need to sleep well at night. Anyway, that's all I had for today's video. If you like this content, be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, take care, God bless, and have a great week.